today we're going to talk more about, this whole funk, chord progression idea. Okay? So, first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of focus on the right hand, the rhythm part, okay? So, it's really kind of hard to describe all the little intricacies, but the way I like to describe it is first there's some kind of like syncopation, and then just kind of running 16th notes. Alright, so it's better felt like, if you're just gonna like kind of feel the grooves. It's da 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 da. So there's really two parts to this groove. The first part is the syncopation, da 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 da. Alright? So the way you feel it, or the way you play it, is going to be down, down, down. So down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Alright, so it's down, up, down. So try that a few million times. I'll try to kind of play it, and then let's see if you can kind of follow along, okay? Now that's the first part of the rhythm. Next part is the kind of 16th notes, which is like da 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 da, down 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 down, da 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 da. Right. So when you combine both, it's this is something that's gonna kind of take a lot of practice. And it's going to take consistent practice, okay? And it doesn't really develop, on the spot, unless you're a genius, but it took me a while. But, in the meantime, we can still kind of learn, the other stuff in this, riff chord progression today. We could just use just simple down strums if you want. Okay? So, the chords that we're using is based off the D blues, okay? So we're gonna have a D7, right? This D7 kind of looks at like the A7 chord, right? Okay. And then we have G7, which looks like this. Okay. And then we have A7. We slide that same chord shape up from G7 to A7, right? Okay. Now, there's other little passing chords involved here. So when we're playing the D7 chord, right? What I end up doing is I end up playing a little passing chord like this, and then maybe going back to D7 again, okay? So D7, and then it goes here. Now you're wondering, well, what chord is that, okay? So I'm doing this D7 chord, and when I do that passing chord, I'm going to take that same chord shape, and I'm going to move it up, alright, to the 10th fret. This chord here is what we call an F7 chord. Okay, so it goes from D7 to F7 and then back to D7. Alright, so I'm going to do it in rhythm and see where that chord kind of lies. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that chord is very quick and it just goes back to D7. Now if you're counting, it's going to be on the fourth beat of the second measure. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back to, the downbeat again, right? Now, what we know about the blues progression is that D7 is 4 measures, so this pattern that we're doing right now, we repeat that twice, right? So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, now after that, then we go to the G7 chord, which is this chord here, right? And like the D7 chord, we have something like a similar pattern where we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're wondering, what is this chord? Well, as you know, when we're playing this chord, it's the same chord shape as the G7 chord. Okay, but if you move it up here, now this is going to be the 8th fret. This chord here is what we call the B flat 7 chord. Okay, so that's the passing chord here. So it's G7, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, B7, and then from the B7 we go back to D7. Okay, so let's try just going from D7 to the G7. Okay, and then back to D7. Here we go. 3, 4, 3, 4. D7. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, F7. Okay, now after that, we go to the A7 chord, which is here, and then we just go half step down to G7, half step up to A7, G7, A7, G7, and after that, then we go back to the D7 chord. Okay, so let's try that all together now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's one last thing we need to add, and this is optional, but it really kind of gives it even more kind of flavor, you know, to his chord progression, and it's that little slide I kind of do. So what we're gonna do is when we go from the D7 chord, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of go down a half step, all right, and then we're gonna kind of slide into that D7 chord. This might take a while to get used to, but just kind of practice just sliding to that D7 chord. Alright? So it would be something like this. So pretty much this slide comes in at every downbeat on one, okay? So this will be. Okay? Then we can also combine this little slide with also when we do that passing thing, right? So let's try both together. 3, 4. Time. Maybe a little slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now the same idea with the G7 chord. We go down a little half step below, and then we go. Same idea. And then it's going to be on every downbeat. Let's try that with the passing chord, the B flat passing chord. Back to the D7 again, slide. And then after that it's pretty straightforward. Okay? So now let's try. We're just using a simple rhythm with the slide and the passing chord, all together from top to bottom. Here we go. 3, 4.